beautiful people, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm bringing you my guest, Tunteeya. So she is a psychologist that is based in Brisbane, but she helps people internationally. I love her beautiful presence and I'm so excited for her to help you find what your values are. She will be sharing about how you can be more open about your emotions, about your feelings, be more open about yourself. So if you are someone who is looking to find yourself, to find your values, to dig deeper and connect with them with yourself, this will be a great episode for you. I'm sure no matter what you're going through in life, you are going to learn a thing or two from this episode. So enjoy!
Before I ask you to share your story, I would love to say thank you so much for your time because I know that during this time you have been really busy. So thank you so much. And
No worries.
I would also love to know, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling okay today. I've had quite a busy day, but I love talking to my clients, so it's been a good day overall.
Yes, love to hear that. So I would love you to start by telling people what you do, and because those people who don't know you, you are a psychologist. What were you doing before this career?
I guess almost for my whole career, I've been a psychologist. But before that, just like any other university student, I was working in cafes or administration. So, yeah. So I've been a psychologist for the majority of my career.
Yeah. And what led you onto this path?
I guess, I've always been interested in the human mind and how people think. So ever since I was a child, I was really curious about why things are the way they are. And when I started studying psychology, I started finding those answers. So it's been a really interesting job. I absolutely love what I do.
And with all the years of your practice, can you share with people what most of the people, what do they struggle with life?
I guess with life, there's a variety of different struggles, but most of the clients that I see, they have anxiety or depression or OCD. There's a lot of different things that are also happening in the world right now. So due to COVID, people are losing jobs. They're going through struggles. So it's not an easy time that we're living in. So there's a lot of different type of issues that I see. A lot of parents might be having problems with kids at home as well as students with their partners. So a lot of different people.
Yeah, it sounds like people just struggle with different things depending on the stage of their life, really.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, different stages, different struggles, but the underlying pain is the same, as in people think are suffering right now.
Yes, definitely. So during your CreativeMornings Brisbane talk, you brought up the saying, change is constant.
Yes.
And I really love it. But I have noticed how, in general, people are extremely uncomfortable with change.
Yes.
So how do you think people can start being more comfortable with change?
I guess it's about learning to live in the moment and also be open to all different types of changes. Because I think what happens is our mind has a tendency to predict negative changes from happening. So it's important to also consider positive changes and also to see change as a spectrum in your life as a whole spectrum, not just what's happening immediately now or what's going to happen next, but what's going to happen beyond. So I like to always imagine life right now in COVID, in 5 years' time. How are we going to feel and how are we going to reflect upon this period? And that way I'm not only thinking about what's happening now, tomorrow, next week, or next month. It's like a reflection process of seeing what's happening now from the eyes of 5 years later. So, if I think and if I believe that a lot of people are going to survive through this 5 years later, how are we going to tell this story? How do we want to tell this story? And we all have a choice. So you might not be able to choose what happens to you, but you have a choice in how you react. So change is the only constant, and you have choices.
I love how you said that. You're so right. Like, honestly, we all have a choice. And I feel like a lot of people, they just tend to choose the negative thoughts and choose to be in the pain. But you can choose the other side of it.
Yeah, and I think when people are stuck in that negative cycle, it's usually because they don't want to be. They don't know how to be any other way. And it's not always their fault. A lot of people, they're like, I don't want to be in this position, but I just don't know how to get out. And I think, every person can learn to think in other ways and to behave in other ways and therefore feel other things. It just takes time.
Definitely. And that is something that you help people with, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, actually, would you like to tell people what Ikigai means?
Yeah, sure. So Ikigai in Japanese means life's values or your reason for being. Each different person has different values. So depending on your individual personality or who you are, you might view life differently. So Ikigai is really about living the way that you want to and trying to fulfill your own life philosophy. So there's no formula, like maybe you've read that book, Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Hector Garcia, and it's really interesting. It has that passion, mission, profession, and vocation, understanding those things as a formula for your Ikigai. And even though that's one way to look at it, Japanese people see Ikigai as something a little bit more simple than that, which is, doing things that you love and finding joy in your life.
You know how before you were talking about thinking 5 years ahead and try to see the positive of it, but not everyone is a visual person. So for those people who are not amazing at visualizing, how can they help themselves?
I guess, if, for example, you might have trouble visualizing or trouble thinking, 5 years ahead, sometimes you can remind yourself that as human beings, we have a tendency to predict the worst case scenario. So if you're predicting the worst, then you're going to also react to that. So try to think about, what's happening right now in this moment in my life, and just trying to slow down and just to breathe for a moment and just to take it as it comes instead of predicting. So even predicting and thinking is a behavior. So you have control over that. You might not always have control over the thoughts that crosses your mind, but you have control over whether you jump on that train of thought or not. Because sometimes if we can just have a thought, and if we jump on it, then we kind of get reactive and stressed. But you can have a thought and then let that thought pass. And it might come again, and you can let that thought pass. So if you can develop that strategy, I guess that's called mindfulness, then you're going to have a tendency to be able to look at your thoughts more objectively. And that in itself will leave some room for you to experience your emotions differently.
Yes, that was so beautifully said. Have you heard of Dr. Daniel Amen?
No, I haven't. Can you tell me more about him?
Yeah, so he is a psychologist as well, and he also does brain imaging. And what I love what you said was because he came up with this acronym of ANT, which is automatic negative thoughts.
Yes.
So it's normal that everyone has, those automatic negative thoughts, but he is saying that not every thought that comes in your head is true. And I just feel like it sort of relate to what you said, because like you said, like, you know, the thought comes in, but don't let it sit and have a cup of tea with it, because a lot of time, like, it's not true.
But I think sometimes it can be difficult to see what thoughts are true and what thoughts are untrue, right?
So, right, but that is something that you can help people with. So for those people who are listening and watching, if that is something that you are struggling with, please feel free to contact Tunteeya, because she can help you out. Now, I would love to know what makes you happy right now and what makes you feel alive.
I guess right now what makes me really happy is I started dance hall classes a couple of weeks ago. So I really love dancing. That makes me happy. Running, it makes me happy. So when I'm outside in the sunshine, when it's a good day, I love to do that. Also, cooking and finding new recipes makes me happy. I'm not the best at cooking, but when I'm in the mood, I can create something really special, and that makes me happy. Yeah.
I love it. So simple. During your Creative Morning Brisbane talk, you also mentioned about values, and your values are community, connection, and creativity. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Thanks for remembering that.
No worries. So I would love to know, how long, you know, did it take you to find your values?
It took me a long time.
Yeah.
I guess those three values has been with me since I was a child, but to understand those values and for me to be able to say it out loud has taken me a long time. So I guess, you know, it's easy to mix up your own personal values with what society values, and sometimes it's different, right? But for me, creativity, you know, ever since I was a child, I was always somebody that was quite curious and imaginative, and I really love drawing and writing and dancing. So I feel like that's something that I want to also take with me throughout my adulthood. And with community, every time I'm with people that I feel a connection with, it makes me feel more myself. So I think, you know, the more you're honest with yourself, the more you're able to identify your values. But to be honest with yourself, you need to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable is hard. And that's even something I'm learning how to do now.
Thank you so much for being so honest. I have a question though, because I feel like you said, you took a while to find your values, but I also feel like values change as you grow.
Exactly.
We are not defined by our values, or are we?
I guess our values change over time, like you said, right? But certain values also stick with you. So certain values are something that maybe is innate within you. So it really depends on, because you don't only have one value, right? People usually carries 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 20 different values. It's just about trying to prioritize at each different stage which one you want to focus on. So when you're a student, you might focus on your value of education. You know, after you graduate, maybe you might focus on your value of career. And then after that, when you have a family, you might focus on your value of, you know, relationships and how to instill good values into your children. So it's like different stage, different values. It's important to be flexible with that too.
Yes. For those who are listening and watching, how do you think what would be the top 3 tips for you to give them to find more clarity so they can be more aligned with their values?
I guess maybe, you know, one tip is that you can get a piece of paper and just think of words that you resonate with. So it can be anything from love, food, cooking, friends, anything that you connect with, relationships, colors, shopping, whatever you love. And just write all of those words down on a piece of paper. And then circle maybe your top 10. And then break that top 10 into your top 5. And then reorder them from 1 to 5. Which one's the most important to you? The second tip is have a conversation with people about your values. So the things that are important to you. So the more you talk and the more you think about, what you really care about, and be honest with yourself and others about those things, the more you're going to also learn more about what you need in your life. And, your values are really related to your needs. So, to have a conversation would be my second tip. The third one is to try new things and really try to participate and do what you care about. So, for example, if your values are, let's say, sustainability, and you really care about the environment, why not try new things to do with that? So I guess since the restrictions are lifting here, at least in Queensland, try something like tree planting or carrying a bag that's canvas with you. Or it doesn't have to be sustainability. If you really enjoy something like fashion, why not try on a new outfit, a different hairstyle, new makeup? So whatever it is that you really resonate with, and there's no right or wrong values either, to try something different, to try something new.
Yeah, I love the tips. Thank you so much. And I really, really like the trying new things tip, because it also helps you to understand what you don't like as well.
Exactly, because for example, if you go to Baskin Robbins, there's 31 different flavors of ice cream, right? Even if you know that you like chocolate and vanilla and strawberry, how do you know if you don't try something like caramel or banana chocolate? You don't know until you give it a go.
That is so true. And that reminded me of the saying, you don't know what you don't know. Because
exactly.
It's so true. So you know what? People always put emphasis on mental health, and a lot of people, they feel a bit ashamed and feel like going to the therapist or going to see a psychologist is like a taboo thing. And again, like thanks to Dr. Neil Amen, like he said that instead of saying mental health, we should say brain health, because at the end of the day, everyone has a brain, and everyone, has, brain health. So, so how would you encourage people to open up more, to talk about their feelings and to talk about brain health?
I guess I like that that reframe of saying brain health instead of mental health, because even the word mental can sometimes have a negative connotation, right?
Totally.
So I like that, brain health. Or another way to put it is just, your general well-being. Well-being includes the body, mind, and soul. So it's those three things put together. So well-being is really important. Without having a healthy brain or a healthy heart, you're not going to be able to live a healthy life. So I think it's just about really seeing as an overall holistic care rather than for just your mental. But there's so many different people that comes to see psychologists, and it's 1 in 4 Australians that suffer from mental health problems. So it's quite normal. Like I see a whole range of different people, and even people like doctors, lawyers, students, teachers. Everyone goes to see a psychologist, even health professionals. So it's really important. Even I see a psychologist to make sure that I'm doing well. And it's just a normal part of life. And I think every person should at least experience what it's like, because if you are struggling, why do it alone? why not be able to talk to someone about it who might be able to give you some new ideas, a new perspective?
Yes, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for saying it, putting it that way. And thank you for being so honest, for saying that you too see a psychologist too. So for those who are
Yeah.
listening and watching, I just want you to know that you are not alone, and also that whatever you're going through, it is completely normal. You're just a human being. We all,
Yeah.
go through emotions. How do you take care of yourself then?
I guess the variety of different things that I do is, I speak to my psychologist monthly, I go for runs, and I make sure to eat healthy food. And just to be honest and to talk to people when I feel like I'm struggling. So, if something's getting a little bit too stressful or overwhelming, I talk to someone about it. Or I really try to assess, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? What do I want to do more of? What do I want to do less of? And that actually is almost like a weekly activity. You always have to continue to review what you're doing, because what you do is who you are. So it's about really kind of reassessing what would you like to do more of? Who do you want to be?
Yes, I love it. That reminded me of the quote that Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's never too late or never too early to start whatever journey that you want to go on. So for those who don't know you, you have actually lived in several places. Would you like to share with people where you have lived?
So I was born in Osaka, Japan, and I came to Australia while I was young. But when I was little, like very small, I also lived in different areas in Africa. I've traveled to France and Europe and Italy and stayed there for various amounts of time. But, I feel at home in Australia and Japan.
Well, I love it because I was actually going, it's like you read my mind, because I was actually going to ask you, so in the whole wide world, where would you want to live and why?
I think in the whole wide world, even though, I love Japan, it's my birth country, I would say Australia.
Yeah.
Because here in Australia, we have everything we need to survive, and we have just enough for everyone as well. So we have the ocean, we have the mountain, we have really good healthcare systems, we have a good education system too. So all the basic needs, Australia can provide. And not every country is like that. If you think about somewhere like Ghana in Africa, not everybody has everything they need. Not everybody has even food or water. So we're really lucky to be in this country. And I feel grateful to be able to be here.
Yeah, me too. And I feel grateful that I get to connect with you.
I feel grateful that I get to connect with you too. Yeah.
Do you help people internationally?
Yes, I do. So I have some clients from England, Japan, Singapore, and China. So I talk to people all around the world.
Yes, amazing. So for those who are listening and watching, you don't have to be in Australia. You can just get in contact with Tunteeya. How many languages do you speak?
I speak two, Japanese and English. Yeah.
Love it. Speaking of Japan, from what I know, it is actually quite a stressful country.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Work and life balance is not very right.
No. Yes.
So how do you encourage Japanese people to love themselves more?
I guess the thing with Japan is that even though the work-life balance, it's not always in balance. People in Japan, at least a lot of the people that I know and have spoken to, they have certain values that helps them to continue what they're doing, even if they're working long hours. So, for example, the most important value in Japanese society is the connections that you have with others. So it's about human relationships. So even though it looks like, people are slaving away, working 10 or 12 hours, they also feel like they're doing something together. They're in it together. There's a common goal that they're working towards, not just for the company, but for the small community that they're a part of, which could be the company, or a larger community that they're a part of, which could be the company, but still it's the individuals working together. So I think that feeling of togetherness, the feeling of collectiveness is there. And that's what helps people to keep going. I think the more we can connect with people, even if it seems like it's a long day, it's okay. Like, for example, today I started my work day at 8 a.m. and I'll finish speaking to people at 8 p.m. I've spoken to over, I guess today you might be the 9th person that I've spoken to, but to me, this is what I enjoy doing. It's not hard work, it's good work. So it's just how you reframe it.
Yeah, I love the way that you put it. Maybe that's a Japanese in you. But you know what? Thank you so much for bringing that up. That also reminded me of how, how sometimes people, they can be in the crowd, but they actually feel lonely. That is because they don't feel like they are actually part of something. So I think that in general, like, you can be all by yourself, but if you feel like you have a belonging where you can connect with, like a group or a community, that's really all you need. And yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When you feel like you're a part of something, it just really changes everything in your life. In order to feel a part of something, you just need to understand your values, because the more you understand your own personal values, the more you can connect with others who feels the same way about life.
Yes, totally. So please don't stop seeking for your own values. And yeah, it's never too late. So before, I know I don't want to run out of time. Before I ask you my last question, do you feel like there's anything that I didn't ask or you would like to share?
I guess one last thing that I'd like to say is that, never to feel ashamed about seeking help, and also to find the right person for you. So, for example, there's many different psychologists out there, and the most important thing is to find the right connection. So when I was looking for my own psychologist, I think I saw 3 other people before I found the person that I connect with. So I had to see, 3 people before I saw the 4th one. And then I felt, okay, this person, I feel I can trust her, I can listen to her. So if you don't find, the one the first time, don't be discouraged. Just keep looking. And when you find that person, you'll know. So it might take you 2 to 3 sessions to really understand whether you can continue to share your story with that person. So that's what I wanted to say. And also, it can be anyone. You really just need to find that person.
Yeah, that was so beautiful. Because it's like, is that really finding friends and a partner, really?
Yeah, it is, because they're going to be the person that's going to kind of take you through life, right? So you have to be able to see things in a similar perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say thank you for being brave, for being so honest, because I personally feel like each individual need to have courage to step out of their comfort zone and to know that there is greater happiness. Like, you don't need to live in such a negative, mind-boggling world. My last question for you is, how do you think people can help each other out in general?
I think in general, when you ask, how are you? If you get the if you get the response, I'm okay, maybe you can ask, how are you really feeling? Just tell me, because I'm here to listen. I think just really giving that message to people, I'm here to listen, that in itself changes everything. Because that other person can then feel like, oh, I can open up. And once that other person opens up, then you can open up too. So, it's just about being honest, being vulnerable, giving people the opportunity to be heard.
Yes, I love it. That also reminded me of a mantra that I read a few weeks ago. And he said, for people who want to open up conversations, he said, darling, I'm here for you. And how sweet is that? And then he also said, darling, I see you. I'm like, oh my God, that is so beautiful.
Yeah, that is really beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. So for those who are listening, please don't get discouraged when people said, I'm okay. It's okay to ask questions.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for your time. And I would love to have another conversation with you if time permits. But yeah, thank you for teaching people on how to open up.
Did you guys enjoy the interview? I love the 3 tips that she has shared. So if you are looking to get more clarity, wanting to find out what your values are, well, 3 tips that she has shared are, well, the first one is write down all the values that you think that you have, and then narrow it down to 5 to 10. Like circle the ones that speaks to your heart. Also, you can have conversations with other people about your values, whatever your values are, because you know what? Everyone's values are different. And then thirdly, don't forget to try new things. I honestly love that point because you will be able to see if that is truly your value or something that annoys you truly isn't your value. I don't know, and I am so excited for you to try. If you're looking for someone to have a conversation, or maybe you would like to share your story or maybe your service, please feel free to contact me. Or, of course, you can contact Tunteeya. Her details are in the description below. Now don't forget to subscribe, click the thumbs up button if you have loved it, and share it with someone because you never know what they're going through. And remember, you're amazing and you're not alone. If you would like to find out more about self-development, click here. And if you would like to hear other people's stories, click here. And I will see you in the next video.